going to talk about beliefs and emotions in this video. And if you put the ideas in this video into practice, you can make a significant difference and keep practicing them. You can make a significant difference in your life by the end of, you know, by the end of break. So think about why someone might be thinking or might be happy to earn an 85% on an exam. Or why might a person be unhappy to earn an 85% on an exam? Not everybody responds the same way to the same grade. I've actually had at least one student in tears when um, even though she earned an A. And as you're thinking about this, you might think about um, what's happening here. So the person who's happy to earn an 85% says, yes, this was a hard test and I did well. I really nailed the material. And the person who is unhappy may be saying, I worked really hard. And why didn't I earn the grade that I thought I would earn? When we are making ourselves unhappy, and notice the language I use. I think we make ourselves unhappy rather than events. One of the things that we do differently is that we focus on the negative. We can hear all sorts of positive things and they don't really make a difference. We don't really give them credit. We hear one negative thing. We go, oh, I'm a failure. So pain is inevitable. We are going to experience bad things in our lives, but we don't have to do things that make it worse. So, yes, pain happens. Suffering is what we do that adds on to that. We don't need to do that. We sometimes do things where we are throwing gasoline on our own fire. We may not have had everything go well at work. And so our mind starts going with negative things. Common sense view of how this works is that the activating event, you know, the stressor of whatever sort, leads to the consequence, whatever emotional turmoil you experience. Ellis and others want us to focus on the role of our beliefs, that there is an activating event. The belief makes us, or we think in a particular way about this. This is terrible. I'll have a boring weekend. I'll never find anyone. I must be a worthless person. And as a result, we experience a lot of turmoil. A more rational appraisal might be, this is unfortunate, but I'll salvage the weekend. Someday I'll find someone who's mature and dependable. And we feel annoyed, we wanted something different, but remain hopeful for the future. So there are a whole lot of things going on at the same time when we experience a situation. We experience thoughts, our body starts reacting, we feel certain kinds of things, our behavior changes. We here are focusing on the thoughts because those thoughts can impact significantly what happens physically, behaviorally, and emotionally. And thoughts are really a place that we can make changes pretty easily. So some attributions are more helpful than others. So in terms of personalization, we tend to make internal attributions for good events and external attributions for bad ones. We say, I did this, and that's why it worked well. I studied hard. I did all the right things. Externally is, I, um, I studied hard, but the professor is tricky and writes confusing questions. It's not about me. People who are more negative, more pessimistic personalizations are external for good events and internal for bad. External, it was lucky that I did well on this exam. Internal, I didn't study as much as I should have. It's my fault. Pervasiveness. We make global attributions, optimists or people who are thinking more rationally tend to make more global attributions for good events and specific for bad. I'm a smart person, I'm compassionate, I'm kind, whatever. Ooh, specific meaning I run into problems with multiple choice. I run into problems on the first exam. Um, I have difficulty when I first meet someone. It's a very limited situation. And that's why we're talking specific. Pessimists or people who are depressing themselves make specific attributions for good events. Um, I'm I'm pretty good with multiple choice and global attributions for bad. Um, I am just a stupid person. And so it's about me, it's everything. And persistence means it's going to continue. So optimists or more rational thinkers expect that good things will continue and expect the bad things are temporary or unstable. So I got an A on this first exam. I'm likely to continue to earn an A in this class. Um, I failed the first exam, and now I know what to study. I'm going to do better in the next exam. Pessimists or people or less effective attribution styles are that good things are temporary. I got an A on this exam, but this is an easy material. And that bad things will continue. So I failed this first exam. I'm going to fail this class. So when I'm working with a client, one of the things I may want to do is ask about these activating events, beliefs, and consequences. Notice the ABC here. So um, think about some of these that might go with some of the cases that we've looked at so far. I see a stranger exposing himself on a train. My belief is, what an idiot. I'm safe in this train as it's morning. And the consequence is that I'm relatively calm. Activating event, houses damaged by hurricane, heavy winds and rain in another storm. And your belief might be, am I safe here? There's no one I could ask for help if I needed it. I'm all alone. And as a result, feeling anxious and hopeless. So, what we want to do to counter irrational beliefs is think critically. Are there other ways of thinking about this? Am I jumping to conclusions? Are these conclusions supported by the evidence? Is it reasonable and proportional? We want to consider the usefulness of our beliefs. Is it accurate? Does it help me solve a problem in some way? And we want to own the counter. So it's just because it is a counter doesn't mean that it's a helpful counter. Make sure you're not dismissing your own goals, values, and concerns. And sometimes friends and family, as they're trying to be helpful, will counter in ways that are incongruent with your values. You want to make sure that you're taking a pause and think about, just step back from the situation briefly until you're ready to come back into it. So let's just do some practice here. Here we have it. We're seeing a stranger exposing himself in a nearby row, and your belief is it's unsafe here. I'm going to get harmed. This is terrible. And think about the emotions that you might experience and the behaviors. So perhaps you'd become seriously distressed. Maybe you'd run from the car. Maybe you'd even try and get off the train at the next stop. The house is damaged by a hurricane, and your belief is God will keep me safe and will not give me anything I cannot handle. And as a result, perhaps you're calmer than what you might otherwise be. Now, we can also look at those emotions and behaviors and sort of step back and think about what beliefs might go with that. So, in response to the hurricane, if someone is panic crying, frantically searching for someone to stay with her, think about the belief that might lead to that. For example, uh, she may be thinking that I'm all alone and I'm unable to help or to respond to this well. I'm in real trouble. Or here, um, in response to seeing a stranger exposing himself in a nearby row, that the response is to pull out a pepper spray and prepare to speed dial. The belief might be this is a dangerous situation, and what can I do to handle it? Oh, yeah, I have my pepper spray and I have my phone. Okay. I'm going to say goodbye at this point, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.